It took me a couple years to actually even like myself, let alone love myself.
Yeah.
And that took at least 4 years for me to love myself. And I still struggle with it.
But here's the funny thing is, like, to the person that reached out about this one, when it comes to like self-care, self-love, how do you do that? I don't know. I'm not you. Even then, you got to go try. I don't even think you know if you're asking. Go try things.
What up, everybody? Ladies?
Cobb just said, tell me when it's safe to record.
I believe there's a conspiracy happening where Chris has got all these saved files deleted and bloopers. Like,
it's safe.
Just the horrible shit we talk about right before the show.
It's never safe.
What up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Talk Hard Podcast. I did it.
Welcome back to the Talk Hard Podcast,
where we like to talk hard. Man,
yeah.
dude, I tell you what's going on today, bro? How you feeling today?
I mean, I'm feeling great. Yeah,
feeling great.
That's pretty normal for me, though. Everybody expects everybody to be perfect, and I don't understand the concept when the reason I don't do it is if I dug into your closet and found something, and you dig into my closet and find something, we're both going to find something, right? Because nobody has never done anything that somebody can't judge them for. I don't care who you are. The difference is what people don't like is you get onto a platform that, so I always say that inward reflection leads to outward perception.
Yeah.
Usually when someone's mad, it's at themselves, and they typically take it out on other people.
And
most of the time.
Kind of like the man in the mirror, too. Like,
right.
I nothing you does bothers me or agitates me unless it's something that I do or I've done.
Right.
And I mean, that's how I am personally. Like somebody's agitating the shit out of me, and they're doing stuff, and I'm just like, oh, what the f are they? And then if I get a chance to reflect on that, it's because I do that too. That's why it bugs the shit out of me.
Of course, So they say a negative thought is upwards of 7 to 10 times more powerful than a positive thought, and it voiced out loud is like 100 times stronger than that. So a negative thought voiced out loud is like hundreds of thousands of times more powerful, right? So if you take that into like a mathematical equation and you say, if that's the way I have to exist, and for every one bad thing that I do, I have to do 100,000 good things for me to even stay balanced, right?
Woo!
Because that's how it works. It doesn't matter what you did. And typically with people, it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you did. It matters how you made them feel.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's what they attach onto, right? Because it's the emotion. That's how we're wired. It's what our memory does, right? I'm going to go ahead and say it, but I'm going to clarify before I say it. I do not have like a strong political stance. I don't really care that much about politics. However,
I got a strong stance. I just don't talk about it.
However, people hate what they can't control. And what they can't do anything, they feel they can't do anything about. And if it doesn't match their value, or they don't understand, right? Yeah. People were attacking, and it wasn't just Trump. There have been other presidents where they attack as if they had dinner with this person last night.
Yeah.
That's my point to it. That's just the nearest example to what I've seen the most of with people is you attack somebody as if you literally could pick up the phone and call this person.
But here's the thing.
You don't know anything.
And that's the thing. I think you can only attack somebody if you did that.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're just ignorant to me, and I don't listen to any of it. Like, did you tell them that, or did they say that to you? Okay, then I don't care.
So there comes a point where, like, with me and people, I've been dealing with this on different levels a lot of my life because since I was a child, was ingrained with, I'm going to do what I want to do, period. Even my mom, when I was little, don't touch that. It's hot. Hold on, lady. I'll tell you if it's hot.
Twice.
And it was. But, again, it was.
Twice.
I'm just wired that way. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'll get the answers my way because that's the only thing that makes sense to me because a lot of your answers never made sense. So I'm going to do everything my way. So I'm ingrained the way of I'm going to live my life my way, right? And that's just the way that it's going to be. Most people live their lives where they're going to take instruction. So they take information from the outside, has nothing to do with how they feel inside, and they turn that into their reality. And it twists things drastically for a reason, because it actually doesn't make sense. Here's the reality of my opinion of recovery. Nothing's ever going to help you if you're not ready to get help. Now, there are better places and some places that may make it harder, right? I'm not a big fan of medically assisted treatment. I know that it has its place. I'm personally not a big fan of it. Had experiences with it. It didn't seem to do much for me in my experiences.
It's
I'm not
putting a
against it.
Band-Aid on cancer.
Everything has a place. And if it's done right, just like any medication, it can serve a great purpose, because I know the withdrawals of heroin, and they are brutal. And the first time I thought about it, I did want to kill myself because it is so brutal.
Well, that's the thing about medication assisted treatment. It has a space, and my belief, and this is only my belief. Now, there are people that I wish would stay on. Very, very, very. A couple of people that I know in my entire life, which is two or three of tens of thousands of people that I've known, that I believe should be on it for the rest of their life. But I do believe that it has a space, and I believe that space is called detox only, and that's my belief. Now, just because I know that drugs and alcohol are not a problem, and when you give Suboxone, it's only trying to deal with the physical addiction of the problem. But our problem is spiritual. Our problem is behavioral. Our problem is all these different array of different things, behavioral problems and irritable, restless, and discontent, and not knowing how to deal with life, and not knowing, how to react and how not to react to situations, and what we should be involved in and what we shouldn't be involved in. And all of that takes a lot of different types of help. And when you're on a narcotic, which is what MAT is, which is what methadone and Suboxone is, it's a narcotic.
For sure.
And it fogs your brain, and it lowers your inabilities and all these different things it does to your brain. And not to mention, it's the world's most physically addictive drug ever. It's 50 times more addictive than I can kick heroin in 5 days. It took me 30 some days to feel better off of Suboxone use.
Right.
So it does have its purpose, in my belief, and this is only my belief, and I'm not saying, and I know everybody's got their own pathway to recovery. I get it, but I've had to deal with people who have been on Suboxone for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and then they're like, I can't get off this drug. And I'm like, well, what are you doing in your life? Like, I'm not doing nothing. So really, you're not doing, like, recovery isn't about the drugs. It's absolutely zero about the drugs. It's more of a lifestyle. Like, it's becoming your greatest version, whatever that looks like to you.
Right.
And you can't become your greatest version when you're horribly dependent on a drug that does get you high. It does fog your brain. It does physically addict you. You just, and that's my opinion. Okay.
But since we're talking about this anyways, because we got in the space, one of our fans reached out. I'm just going to say fans because it's on the Talk Hard Fans Facebook page.
Okay.
And said, boundaries. Let's talk about boundaries, since we're talking about that space and what that looks like in recovery specifically, because I believe that a lot of my addiction came from a space as part of me having a difficult time setting boundaries. I was very afraid of the word no.
A lot of us have
right? Again, we're going way past addiction at this level. I think 90+% of the people in the world are yes people.
People pleasers. We all want to be people pleasers, and that in itself is an addiction. If an addiction, it has nothing to do with drugs and alcohol. That itself is a problem with a lot of us, because there's so much we can say yes to everything, and get us so wrapped up in 40,000. I mean, it's not good to be like the one thing recovery has taught me is how to say no to something. It's taught me, like, hey, I need you to no, I can't do that. I can't do that. I won't do that. No, I won't go to that place. No, because it's taught me, and what saying no is having a boundary.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to put myself in that situation, in that mind space.
To be okay is the thing. Is like, these people say, well, that's my boyfriend or my girlfriend or my wife or my husband. I tell my wife, I will always do what I can when I can. That's it.
And if I can't,
then I'm sorry. Like, that's the space that we live in, and it's not because I don't love you anymore or any less. That's the truth. And I want the same from her.
Yeah, but what it does, it's a level of honesty. Because when you're saying yes to something that you can't do,
it builds resentment.
You're not going to do it. And what's not doing something that you said you were going to do, that's going to build resentments. That's going to build a wall between you and whatever's. And resentments build until they explode. And then they're exploding over a towel on the floor instead of what's actually really going on. right? And then you're fighting. Or I tell a friend, it's the same way with friends. You know, if I tell you I can do something and I don't do it, and then you spend the next 3 days going like, man, what the, this mother, you know what I mean?
Well, here's the problem is
It's
that
called a resentment.
most people think when they're saying yes, they're like, well, I could do it. Okay.
Okay, say that.
What are you bitching about?
Say that. Then.
Like, if you actually could do it, and yet you're bothered by the fact that you keep saying yes, then clearly somewhere in your brain, it's you can't do it. You're just still struggling with, well, I wasn't doing anything else. Cool, then don't do anything else. That's okay. Yeah. Just because you're sitting on your couch trying to relax and someone reaches out for help, but it's the only day you've got to relax. And you think, oh, man, this is my only day, but I'm not doing anything, so it would be the right thing to do. It's not the right thing to do if at the end of the day you've lost rest and now you're taking it out on others and now these all things are happening.
Now you're resentment.
And now you have resentment still.
Because you
didn't want to take care of yourself. This is part of self-care too.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be willing to just say no.
Yeah.
That's part of a boundary. You also have to be willing to set realistic boundaries for things. And it's funny because you were talking about this book last week, and so I got one of his books talking about love and relationships, and it talks about the vows. Okay. And about how vows in reality are stupid.
How so? Tell me about that.
Through thick and through thin, through rich or through poor, like a lot of these people think that sounds great, but when shit hits the fan, and you don't have to bleep this, it's not. That's not the truth. There are people that are used to a lifestyle and think they found the one, and so they're going to stand up there and say, for rich or for poor, until you're actually poor.
It's a lot different than when you got the, we say that. And
when they said the vows at their $500,000 wedding, they weren't thinking that was actually going to happen.
And now they're...
Which is why with like my wife and our situations, and what I encourage others to do is, I don't love you unconditionally.
Yeah, that's
I don't love anyone unconditionally.
When people say that, I'm just like, ugh. Do you realize how sick that is?
There was one person on the planet or existence that was supposed to love people unconditionally. Jesus, God, period. That's it. That's an unconditional kind of love. That's somebody that'll forgive you for basically anything.
I think your parents might do that too. I never really had.
There are a lot of parents out there that no longer speak to their children and vice versa. It is not my job to love my relatives if they do something that is beyond what I can bear. Yep. You've gone too far.
There's a condition.
Yeah. I have conditions on every bit of my love because I love me unconditionally. That's probably the only unconditional love I have, is I allow myself to do whatever I need to do to get where I need to go, and I love myself for doing it and being strong enough to do it. And so part of setting those boundaries is honesty. And when you're talking about honesty, it's not just being honest with the other person. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to set these expectations like, hey, I don't like it when you do that. And if you continue to do that, I'm not for it. Now, you can do whatever you want. Just understand the consequences of doing that mean me out the door.
Well, and that's the sickness when, we deal with a lot of sickness after people get into recovery. Mm-hmm. And because there's all this, one of the major things is codependency. And that's a lot of where that unconditional love comes from, is that codependency. Like, and what codependency is very sick. It's a very sick mindset to be in. It's almost as bad as addiction in itself, because a codependency mother or daughter, a codependency mother or a father or a codependency spouse, like they have that mindset of unconditional love. And they will get walked on, and they will get trampled on until they break, until they spend all their money on said person, and they're living out of their car because they got to bond their son out of jail for the 13th time, or they got to, pay for his whatever. I mean, it's just, it's a sick mindset to be in. And I deal with a lot of codependent parents and wives and husbands. And I always have that conversation, like, this you're talking to me now, so you made a right first step, but now you got to listen to me. Like, we are shutting all that down. It is done. You're not going to pay. It's easier to come from my perspective when it comes to codependency, because like I'm going to explain to you how you're killing your son or your husband or your wife.
Well, see, I don't call that unconditional love. I call that unrealistic ego.
Well, Yes, I
now
love
it's
it. I love it.
confused,
I
right?
love it.
They think they're being unconditionally loved, and what you actually think is you're so good that you can fix anything,
Right,
and that ain't the truth because it's not what you were brought to the earth for.
Well, and
as
if
a
it was
parent
true,
or otherwise,
if it was true, it would already happen.
right?
You would have did it.
Right.
It's not helping. You giving your son or your daughter $20 for a pizza when they're actively getting high is not helping a thing. Well, he needs his phone. No. Only person he's got on his phone is you and his drug dealer. Because he needs money from you to get to his drug dealer, and that's it. Oh, he needs his car to get back and forth. He ain't worked in 6 months. Like, what do you mean? Well, if I cut him off, he'll be out in the streets. He's been in the streets for 6 months. You ain't changed a damn thing. The only thing you're doing is, it's called enabling at this point. The only thing that you're doing is helping him die or her.
And the same thing goes for, again, not addiction, and now we're talking about relationship even, is the same thing. Well, he only screwed her once.
Right.
Let him get away with it, and he'll do it again.
I think it's always happened that, I've been this guy.
And I'm not just talking about him, ladies too. Like, men, women, doesn't matter.
I've been on both sides.
If you have allowed the person to go too far and just, well, this is what I have to do. Now, look, if you're capable of doing that, cool.
Right.
I've tried it once in my life. It did not work.
You wasn't capable.
Like, I can forgive you, but I can't forget. And so it becomes at that moment, whether I know it's healthy or not, a scorekeeping moment.
Yeah.
And then we're boundaries, everything's out the window, right? Because now we're keeping score because now you've got one up on me because I'm not wired that way. So now you'll always have one up on me. And so subconsciously, somewhere in my mind, I'm trying to find the way to even the score without going to your side of the playing field. Or what can I get away with that? Well, I could always throw it back in their face, right? And it just doesn't work for me. So I'm very clear. No lying, no cheating, no stealing. Now, I mean like serious lying. Don't go blow the mortgage on your hair.
On blow.
On a car or on drugs.
On blow.
And then come home and tell me everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because it's not. Because when you're married, you make serious. And I mean, don't lie about something serious. We were supposed to make things that involve both of us. We both live under the same roof. If the mortgage is at risk and you didn't tell me about it, we got a problem. If the car gets towed and I walk outside, it's because the car payment has been made in 4 months and you didn't tell me about it. Now I can't get to work. We got a problem, right?
On blow.
I don't care. You know what I mean?
I spend it on blow.
There's gambling problems. There's people that are just bad with money. There's people that buy Louis Vuitton purses that can't afford the gas in their car. Like, we're all so stuck on material crap that kind of stuff happens. But when it comes to setting boundaries and taking care of yourself, first it starts with taking care of yourself. And once you learn to take care of yourself, the boundaries will just exist because you'll get so comfortable in this space that you don't want to allow people to take it from you.
It goes even deeper, though. And this is something we say in recovery a lot. Like, you can never love another person until you love yourself. You can't. It's an impossibility. Like, I said this to lots of parents, and of course they hit them in the gut. Like, you don't, because having a feeling of love is not enough. Like, I love you, but you are completely toxic for me, and you bring out the worst in me. And when I'm around, you don't bring out the worst in me, but when I'm around you, the worst comes out of me. So that's toxicity, right? But you can't love your child until you learn to love yourself. You say, I love my kids. Like, we get people in early recovery, and the first thing they want, is the first thing they talk about. It's like, man, I got to see my kids. I'm like, you got 2 weeks clean. Like, you don't need to see your kids right now. That's not. They have been without you for X amount of however long. They're going to be fine. Right now, you need to work on you. Learn to love you, and you can love your children in a healthy way. Because right now, you love your kids, you love your wife, you love your mom in a very unhealthy way because you only love what they can do for you. And I mean, that is like how they make you feel. Right? That's not love. That's like, I need you to make me feel better. That's unhealthy. So we deal with that a lot when it comes to, and I believe that you cannot love another person until you love yourself. And that's what you get with so many people in recovery who want to get in early relationships because you took away my drugs, you took away my alcohol, you took away my party. The only thing I got left now is the sex. And we get sex, and then we're in love. Because we felt some sort of little connection.
And even if it's not sex, unhealthy. The companionship. Again, we're going back to that. I think
that's what I meant.
I just need... Well, no, there's a lot of times it's people just sex. Like, that is the connection that they're looking for. That's all they really care about, because that's just the next addiction.
And that's a superficial love. And it's because... And now you feel like you got some feelings for said person, and you mistake it for love, and now you'll do anything in the world to do whatever that is to make that right, to fix that, to make that happen. And then next thing you know... the person who's sleeping with you in early recovery is probably messed up too, right? You know what I mean? You can you can spray paint a dumpster, but it's still a freaking dumpster,
right?
And if somebody's interested in making love to a dumpster,
I get it.
Well, they got problems too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a good person who's got their lives together and their shit together and they're doing things in their life, they're not going to find somebody in early recovery who doesn't have a damn thing to offer them and be in love unless they have a lot of shit going on with themselves. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing is like when you dive deeper into the psychological aspects of it all, and we've talked about this before, it's like attracts likeness, right? So if you're not ready and you know you're not ready and you go meet someone, you really think that you found the unicorn that is ready and is going to somehow...
And you'll overlook all kinds
magically
of shit.
Make you ready? Like, no, you have to be ready first. Otherwise, if that person is ready and that is who you found, the chances of you lasting regardless, because that person's not actually going to last with you. It doesn't matter which way you go.
Yeah.
And people, when they're setting boundaries, need to... watch for the red flags. They exist.
We talk about
for
red
a
flags.
reason.
We talk about these red flags is trending, right? It's a trending thing on social media.
It's so sad.
But that's what we do. Like when you're broken and you're not in love with yourself, you're not in love with your life and your situations and the things going on. Like you'll ignore
that person.
You'll ignore all the red flags.
Yep.
That of stuff that will actually really tear you apart later on.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah. Like, I caught him talking to this chick, but he says they're just friends at work, but I've caught him 14 times. And then he was at her house last night when he left.
Well, they were doing paperwork.
Right. Because they're both office clerks, and that's what they need to be doing because they're getting paid overtime for whatever that looks like, right? It's like we see the obvious signs of things, and then we do nothing about it. And now... be careful.
And then we get mad.
Because sometimes they're not actually red flags. We're making them red flags. And that's the hard part. If you have your own insecurity.
And then there's that. Yeah.
And you turn what somebody else isn't doing for you into a red flag. And now we're going back to the same point.
Maybe that person has healthy boundaries.
When you're not ready.
You're not ready.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Red flag on the other side or your side. It doesn't matter. The red flag is the red flag. Whether you make it exist or not. When you're ready, you will attract someone who is ready.
I just had a conversation with somebody the other day, and she's early in recovery. I think she's got 60 days or something. And, you know, she was talking to this guy who's got a couple years, and I was like, first off, right there, does that not say anything to you about said person? He's got a few years in recovery. He's got his life together. He's doing this and that. What do you think he wants from you who has nothing to offer? What do you think he wants? I mean, I'm not going to tell you what he wants because I don't really know. But this is something for you to think about.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, What do you think he wants? You think he's like, oh, well, she's probably going to be a good wife, and she's got her own truck and a boat and a house, and she's taking care of her kids. She's a good mom. No, you got 60 days in recovery. You don't have shit. Think about it.
Well, there is the other side of the fence, and this is where I think that the if you want to call it variable lies, is like when I met my wife, I wasn't ready, but I told her that.
Okay.
And I gave her the chance
to run
like hell.
Jenny, why didn't you run?
You know, it was, I mean, you want to talk about an awkward dinner. We've talked about this before. Yes. I gave her the opportunity because I was up front. Like, hey, I've
And
still
that's
got
a difference too.
I've still got some things, and I'm willing to like go down this because I'm a good person. But there's some things that you may not like, and here they are.
Well, that's the difference too, because that's communication, that's honesty.
Right.
Like, I think if people were just honest about their intentions, like, hey, you know, if we talk about sex, right, or if we're talking about like, hey, my intentions are like this, like I do see you as a wife one day, and I think that we would be a great couple. What do you think?
Right.
Is that what you're seeing here?
Right.
Yes, be honest, right? Okay, so that's a good term, yeah. But their opposite side is like, look, man, I don't want a relationship. You know, at least not with you, but I do want to have sex with you. How do you feel about that? You know, be honest about it. I think we will, in not saying that that's right or wrong or indifferent, because who am I to say? But that's honesty, and that may not. It may avoid a lot of resentments and hatred and in the recovery world, maybe even relapse.
See, here's the thing. People think that if I expose who I truly am, because I know what I'm dealing with,
Yeah.
then that makes me undesirable.
Yeah, you won't want me.
What they don't understand.
You won't want me if I tell you.
What they don't understand is that actually probably makes you, in my opinion, the most attractive person. I can deal with anything
Chris.
if I know what I'm getting into.
Just
Like if I know what's coming.
Come to the table and say, look, I'm really messed up, and this is here's my garbage on the table.
Right.
Are you still interested?
Like, stop acting like you're perfect, because we know you're not.
Right.
If you got an attitude problem and you're sassy at times and you like things a certain way and you want to do this, just say it.
Or just
this
be
is where
it.
relationships struggle. Is like, well, it's boring in bed. Have either one of you sat down and been like, I want to do this with you. I like it when you do this.
I am feeling.
I wish you could do this, or I wish we could try this, or what does this look like?
Can you hang from the ceiling fan?
Sure.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes or no?
if that's what it's going to take, right?
Look, just grab a hold of it.
Like, I'm sorry, but ladies, you may be cool with missionaries the rest of your life, but some dudes just like to smack some ass sometimes. Some dudes like to pull some hair sometimes. Some dudes like to do other things. And some girls do
and
too.
vice
Don't get me wrong.
versa.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like what I'm saying is, if you don't allow the space to exist because you're so afraid of what, look, if you've seen me naked, you should know everything about me.
If you see me naked, you don't want to know nothing more about me.
Like, I'm just saying, like, how much more vulnerable can you get besides standing at the edge of the bed naked? Like,
Just
this is the
doing
space where you
helicopter.
exist.
What's
right.
up? What's up? You still like me?
Like,
Chris!
I hate dancing. It's never been my thing. Like,
But he can do a helicopter, damn it.
but damn it if I won't do what my wife calls the dancing bear in the house, clothed and otherwise, right? Like, it's fun.
Hold on, stop. Stop the record. Stop the record. The dancing bear?
She's like, oh, he's my little dancing bear, and I don't dance.
Can we see this?
No,
Please?
my wife is the
Ladies
only one
and gentlemen,
that has seen this.
Can we get
This is where it
everybody
lies.
comment right now? Chris, what do you
But
think?
that's my point.
What, Chris?
Hashtag dancing bear.
Can we see this?
No,
I'm not giving up on this.
not gonna happen. This is the joy
Chris
that
will
I
get waxed.
I'm not comfortable enough with you because you haven't seen me naked yet. So
We got to set boundaries
we
right
got to
now.
set some boundaries right now. This is where I say no.
Oh,
But my
shoot.
point is, like, if you don't have that comfort level with someone, there's your first problem.
Well, here's the thing. And, you know, when you first meet somebody, that fire's there, that spark's there, and you have amazing sex life, and things are really great. If it's not that, like, and it dies, and one of the partner, it doesn't die. It you know, I know life happens, and you have children and jobs and careers and this and that, and PTA. I get it, you know, and the sex life kind of dies, but I think that's a level of expected. But there's also like, well, she or he put on this hell of a show and it was amazing, and now I have to beg for sex once a month, and I'm just not unhappy. You know?
That's the thing. Set the realistic expectation from the
I
word
thought that's where you
go.
Yeah.
This is what I like. This is what we need to do. This is what happens. And again, sex isn't going to hold you together forever.
But
attraction is not going to hold. There's people like
the little
well, you
teddy
know,
bear dance,
that one.
yeah,
I'm
or
gonna
ceiling fan.
die dancing as a teddy bear on my bed. That's where we're at. I'm just saying, just be real with yourself first.
And with the ceiling fan.
And be willing to explore what it looks like to move forward. Like, you got to be willing to get a little awkward and try some things. Like, I did that because I thought I've never wanted to dance around anybody before, right? And it turns into this funny little thing around the house.
Oh, come on. Please. Sorry. Jenny, please. Please get a recording of this.
This is where I draw the line.
Please.
So I'll just start a OnlyFans of my dancing mirror.
I'm texting Jenny right now. Where's she at?
So this is where you got to just draw the line of, like, what does it look like for me to be willing to get awkward with someone?
He just texted Jenny and said, do not respond.
Don't respond to Marty. I just want to leave with this because we're getting close on time. We've talked about a lot today. When you're setting boundaries, you got to set them with yourself first. You got to know what you actually want to do and what you're willing to do, and be okay with not doing anything in that moment. Now, struggle for more, drive for more, be willing to fail. All these other things that we talk about still exist. I'm not saying go be a lazy piece of crap. I'm saying just be honest. If you're lazy, you're lazy. Maybe one day you won't be. Maybe you should try to not be and see if you actually are thrived by, because, man, some people get in the gym and it's just like a euphoric thing and they're like, damn, I'm missing out.
I want more.
You got to be willing to try, but that goes in relationships too. Sex won't hold you together. Love won't hold you together.
Love.
Money won't hold you together.
I hate that. I think so many people stay in bad, horrible, toxic relationships based around
because we love each other.
Because I love him. Or
clearly
I love
you don't, because it's toxic.
It's not real love, right? Because you'll stay in an unconditional love, an unconditional relationship, being treated like shit. So, and you see that a lot in recovery, because people in early recovery, need.
Let's be honest, right? I don't know.
I would need more context.
Even then, you got to go try. I don't even think you know if you're asking.
Right.
Go try things. And if it doesn't sit right, move on.
I think the most important thing to learn about boundaries is, like, first off, you got to have them. You got to find out what, like you're saying, you got to know what they are and know what you're willing to tolerate and know exactly what you're not. I think people have that. It's just sticking to boundaries is the problem.
Well, for sure, because they start to feel bad, right? Because these people, and there's manipulative people that'll make you feel bad. Well, you weren't there for me. Well, I didn't know it was a damn competition.
Yeah.
And if someone's holding you in a competition, that's not a very good friend.
Yeah. Deuces.
Because it's like, hey, if you only did that for me because you were trying to put one on the chalkboard so that you could call me one day, screw you, get out.
A lot of people
I'm good.
Like that.
Right?
A lot of people are like that.
Because I've had people that'll do stuff for me, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, let me buy you dinner. Well, let me give you some money. No, that's not why I do this.
Yeah.
I do this because I was willing to in that moment, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
That same thing goes for other things in the relationship. Don't try to, if you're doing something to fix someone else, not going to work.
Right there. Right.
There's
right there.
Biggest problem.
Just right there.
You need to focus on yourself.
The only thing, like, we do a lot of what people learn in life is not being what they're told to do. It's what they, lead by example in a lot of scenarios in today's world. Like, you lead by example. I'm not going to learn from you telling me, but if I see you do it and I see the results from it, I might give that a go.
Right.
But
it's difficult. So when it comes to family, because it's funny, because Mel Robbins did a whole thing in this chapter about it. It's like, you got to understand that if you are only doing something to make someone else happy and it's not actually making you happy, you're not serving that person. And so you need to keep that in mind when you're saying the word yes. If you can actually do it and be okay with it, then do it. If you can't, then don't. And if you could have and didn't, that's okay. But you got to explore the space is all I'm going to say. You got to explore the space and be okay with whatever it looks like on the other side, because right now you don't know. That's why you're asking.
And a lot of people, codependent people in general, they don't do something for somebody else. They don't. And I think a lot of people have codependency to some degree. I think most people have codependency to some degree. And a lot of people, when a codependent person does something for somebody else, like their love, their daughter or their son, the sick part of it is they're not actually doing it for said person. They're doing it to make them feel better.
Right.
Like, I did this. I got to, and you'll hear a lot of codependent people will tell you exactly what they've done for you, though they got that scoreboard. And the real reality of it is like, I know you're not ignorant. You know, giving your son $40 for when he says he needs a cheeseburger and he's in active addiction. There's a part of you who actually knows that you're not giving that $40 for a cheeseburger, right? But you want to do it because you need to feel like you're helping. I'm helping my. That's the sick part of it, because right? So it's not about helping that other person, because you can make your son a cheeseburger if you really want to help him out. But you're giving him $40 because that's what he wants, and you want to be a yes person. You want to be that person who fixes your son's problem at the time, and at the time he needs $40 for a cheeseburger.
Well, here's the thing. So my mom recently, she has a circle of friends, and in one of those circles of the people that they have, like, I believe it's a church group with, one of their sons is struggling with addiction, right? Mm-hmm. So my mom was trying to, like, share my story and try to uplift him and be okay with it. And me and my mom were talking about it. And she goes, how do you stop them from enabling? Because in their eyes, they're like, well, if I don't,
then he's going to die.
What they're not understanding is that $40 that you just gave him will also kill him.
Most likely nowadays. You know,
so I mean? It's like
it's a Russian roulette.
There is no way to guarantee what it looks like. And think about that. Well, I was just trying to help. Well, if you were trying to not kill your child, you got to understand that too can kill your child. So you're screwed either way. So let's go with the way that historically we know works.
Well,
when people don't have anywhere else to go, they typically will find their way out.
And that's it. Like, you giving him $40 is stopping him from hitting a rock bottom. And a rock bottom is basically, I'm at the bottom. I've reached out to this person, nobody will, quote unquote, help me. Right? That's when you're like, oh, I got no choice. I have to go get help because nobody gave me $40 for a cheeseburger when I actually want a bag of heroin. But, and that's one of the things that's hard to coach a mom or a dad or a wife or a husband into the idea. Like, you are stopping them from hitting that bottom, and that bottom is very, it has to happen. It has to happen. Why would anybody want to get help from whatever is going on in their life? It could be drugs and alcohol, and I'm always relating to drugs and alcohol. Mm-hmm. But why would anybody want help if they got everything they got? You know what I mean? If I get to use heroin every day, and I still get to go home to my mom's house, and she's got dinner ready for me, and I got a bedroom, and I got a shower, and then I can leave later on and get $40 from it. Why would I ever want to get help? I got everything I ever wanted.
Right.
Everything's cushy. Everything's comfortable. But if you love your son who's doing this, you say, today's the last day. You're not coming to this house. There's a trash bag full of your clothes out on the porch, or there's a backpack right there where you can go to treatment. But after today, you can go to treatment, or you're taking that trash bag and you're leaving. I'm not giving you $20 when you're hungry. I don't care if you're starving, crying. I'm not going to give you that $20. You're not coming here to shower or sleep it off. It ain't happening, not one time. I'm not giving you. Oh, and by the way, I'm cutting off your phone. Your phone's done. You're not getting I got the keys. You're not driving your car that I pay for. Mm-hmm. It's done. It's all over. So you got a choice. And 8 times out of 10, when that kid knows that the parents are actually serious, they'll take that backpack every time. But there is sometimes when they'll take, and this is where parents are really scared of, like, I can't just turn him out into the street. Yes, you can. Yes, you can, because that's what it's gonna take for him to realize that he has no choice. Right. And a drug addict with a choice is a dangerous thing.
Yep.
A drug addict in active addiction with choices is a very dangerous thing. And what I've seen happen quite a few times, they'll take the trash bags, they'll leave, they'll spend up that $20 that they have in their pocket and realize, oh shoot, my phone's off. I'm going to call mom off my buddy's phone. Mom, seriously, like, just get $20 more. I'm starving. I'm hungry. I'm cold, man. Help me out. And mom says no. And then the reality sets in. Like, oh, she's serious. Okay. And then they might squirm around for a little bit, and then they're like, okay, mom, fine, I'm ready. And that's what happened. And yes, it is a risk, but it's not nearly as high as a risk as keep continually buying them dope, which is what you're doing.
Right. They can die either way. And you can't control when someone's going to die, so you can't prevent it by giving them money, and you can't guarantee it by cutting them off. Like there is no, if you knew what the other side of the fence looked like, there'd be no reason to go over there.
I mean, no reason to have a conversation. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point. Like we have to let life be on some level and trust in, like I did my job. I gave an option. They chose not to take it.
I'm setting a boundary.
That is now their decision, sick or not.
Well, in hindsight, I mean, in the overlook of the situation is, it's actually your chances of that person getting help is 10 times greater than you continually doing the same way you're doing.
It worked for me. Mine was a mixture of my brother explained to me that I was holding my family hostage. My mom, for the first time in my life, not being there after I got in a wicked car accident because I was messed up.
Yeah.
I called her and
one
she didn't answer.
one of 1,000 times you've called her.
And I was pissed.
Yeah.
Like legitimately mad at my mom. And when I finally got a hold of her, she's like, look, if you want to kill yourself, I don't want to watch anymore. I'm done.
Yeah.
And then my dad fired me from the company that I helped build. And I went, what the? All of a sudden, everything kind of smacked me in the face. I went, who the hell am I?
What the hell happened?
Like, what? Where am I right now, right?
That, ladies and gentlemen, is called a rock bottom.
Right.
And it wouldn't have happened if they would have kept feeding you.
Right. Yeah. So just understand that when you set that boundary with anybody on any level and you stand up and say, I know what's right in my heart, and either we mesh or we don't on any level, whether it be someone in addiction or not. Yeah. I know what's right in my heart. And I'm going to trust my heart right now, and you got to stay in your lane and let it be.
And that's okay. Like, I don't know. I can't predict. Well, I don't know if that person will go to treatment or die.
No.
I don't know if this person will act accordingly or continue the path that they're going. I don't know if this person will ever talk to me or hate me again.
Right.
But my boundary is I love me, and I care about all, I'm tired. I'm done with all the stuff you being in my life has caused me.
Right.
So I'm done. And that's the basis of it all is I have to set that boundary for me.
Stop trying to control the outside world and start doing what you can control, which is what goes on inside of you.
Amen.
That's where the boundaries go. We love you guys.